Good morning, Teach Better family. My name is Katie Miglin. This is Jeff Gargas, and we decided to match today to kick off your morning on Teach Better Today, where we get to join you every single morning on all of your favorite streaming platforms. And we're super excited because it's been a minute since they let Jeff and I hang out together. So I know, I'm pretty stoked about it. We've got some fun conversation, and we're going to kick off your week strong. So we'll be right back. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Happy
That was good.
Monday, I guess. I don't know.
Happy Jeff and Katie matching day.
Yeah, you guys, I just want you to know that this was not planned. We sat
No,
down and this isn't like it's not like black or white. Like this is not a color that people match.
it's not a common color. You think you're okay putting this on. Well, I wear this quite a bit, so it's common for me, but like that's because I just wear the same clothes all the time. But like the funny part was that like we were on for a while, like chatting quite a bit prior to this because we haven't seen each other for a little bit. But like and it was a while before you're like, is it weird to you that we're matching? And I'm like, oh my god, I didn't know. I had no idea that we're matching. Like I'm talking like way longer than it should have been
Yes,
for me to not
absolutely.
know.
Absolutely.
Probably 10 to 15 minutes of like
At least. Yes.
before I realized we were matching. But here we
Well, if
are.
you were
Maybe
listening
it
on
just
our
felt so natural and good that we were matching that I just didn't notice it.
right.
For you, it was like there was a disturbance in the force. For me, it just felt right.
Okay, that's fine. If you're listening on our podcast and you cannot see what Jeff and I are wearing, we are wearing like a burnt orange color. And
I'm glad I was going with burnt orange too in my
there
head.
you go. See?
Ah,
And
look at
yes,
you and me.
we're matching. It's
Yeah, yeah.
just the way the world is right now, and that's okay. But good morning,
We
everybody.
can we if you listen on the podcast, we'll let you imagine that either I grew my hair out or that Katie shaved her head, and we also match in hairstyles as well. I think that would be
We
fun
do
for
not
them
have
to
matching.
imagine.
We don't have matching
We don't
hairstyles.
have matching hairstyles.
No, please take that image out of
If
your
I grew
head.
mine out, it'd be very similar colors to you, though. A little
Oh,
bit darker,
well,
but very similar. Mine does. It
okay,
looks much darker when it's short than it actually is. But
okay, I believe you.
anyway, moving on with
Aren't you
anything
guys
else.
glad you joined us for this fabulous Monday morning where you get to hear how Jeff and Katie could or could not look alike?
This is what you need. I think this is.
Yeah.
I think what people need, what teachers specifically need to do the extremely difficult work that they do, is for you and me to match more often.
You think?
That's what has been missing. That solves 98% of the problems in education. Is that Jeff and Katie don't match enough.
Okay. Okay, you guys heard it here first. That's the solution to
So
the
you're
problem.
welcome. You're welcome, education, the
Yep.
future of the world.
There you go. Jeff, how are you? How was your
I
weekend?
know. Apparently not long enough.
Yeah. Or there's not enough coffee.
I'm
If
good.
you have not,
Things are good. I have I look. Your mug's got all sorts of
it hurts. Why am I
arts.
holding up to my mic as though my mic can see?
Do
Here.
you guys see? Look, I
Gonna
the heart that's on the handle at first looked like Pac-Man, like a Pac-Man
Oh,
almost.
yeah, it kinda
But now I
does.
see that it's like a heart going into it. Yeah.
Valentine's Day month.
And it's like a half a heart on the handle. They specifically did that very much like that too.
Mhm.
That's cute. It's a big mug too. I like it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I don't mess around.
Do you have coffee in there?
Yeah. No, I got mimosas. Just kidding.
And from the sounds of how we've started this show, wouldn't be
That's
surprised
true.
if we were both on mimosas.
Maybe that's the problem. Maybe we should have mimosa Monday.
I have a classic beat up Teach Better team
It's
mug.
not beat up, it's vintage.
These things are awesome. They're like it's so warm. It is beat up pretty good. Like it's been dropped a lot, but it's such a good job. My kids don't like when I carry this one. Very often, or my kids, Jacqueline doesn't like. I very often carry coffee when I'm walking her to school,
Mhm.
and usually, if I'm in any other type of travel mug, like you feel the warmth. These things are so good, like
Oh,
you don't feel the warmth, like because they're just so insulated. But
it's true.
we are not trying to sell these. I promise this is not an infomercial. It's just like
This
we
is
were like,
paid advertisement for Teach Better mugs, but don't use them as a hand warmer because they don't work. I do have a couple travel
Yeah.
mugs that are the same where like they
A
don't
good
work.
travel mug, that's how it is because it's so insulated that the heat doesn't it's not coming out, right?
Right.
So
You have to go in mentally prepared. Like I don't have a warm cup of coffee to warm my
mhm.
hands
You also have to remember that, like, even, like, 5 minutes after I fill this thing up, when I drink it, it's gonna burn my mouth because it's,
every
like,
time.
somehow hotter than when it actually came out of the brewer.
Yes, every single time I would brew it, then I would go to school on my way to work, burn my
It's
mouth
like
in the
there's a
rest of the
built-in
day.
heater.
Yep, exactly. Why?
When I put
Why
it in
is
one of my other ones, like, from the car dealership or something like that, it's like by the time I walk out the door, it's already frozen.
Yes. Oh, right, right. I will say,
Anyway.
okay, so we're gonna get into this more in this discussion today, but okay, having mugs, you have a Teach Better mug.
Mhm.
My husband works for an insurance company. It's kind of a regional based, but he
Okay.
got these really, really nice travel mugs. They were, is it Brewmate? Yeah, they were Brewmate brand. Okay, those are not.
Okay.
And the
Mm.
discussion we had in our house was like, would you rather get a really nice coffee slash water mug thing, or like just a bonus, or like a sure gift card? Like, would you rather?
For well, is the cash or gift card or bonus of for the same amount?
Yeah,
Okay, for so well, I guess like for me, I'd rather have the cash bonus because I already have good mugs and stuff like that. But
right.
if the difference is if you're someone who would never go buy yourself like a really nice mug because your money's going somewhere else, that's a really nice the way it's always that, right? Like it's a really nice gift to get if it's like, well, I would never buy myself this. So
Yeah,
this is kind
that's
of nice because I would never spend my $50 on this because I have to put it somewhere else. Versus, which means if you gave me the cash bonus, it's going right to bills.
that's true. That is
Whereas if you're
true.
like, no, no, like if I need a coffee thing, I use it enough, I'm gonna spend that money. Like then it's like, well, I already bought it. So like, you know what I mean? So I think it's so situational. Like I think
Okay.
speaking of, I think a lot of times when it comes to things like that, sometimes we forget like that there's a lot of ways you can look at it because we'll get like, well, that was kind of not really a cool gift because to you it wasn't, but for someone else it might be like an awesome gift because they're like, oh my god, I've always wanted one of these things,
That's true. I
but
guess
I would never.
I always pause when it's not. I think this is my personality. This is not gonna shock many of you, but, like, when it's got the company logo all over it, because it's like, well, like,
Yeah,
it clearly, like, was a free gift, it wasn't. I think that's, like, the difference. I mean, it's a
yeah,
gorgeous, like, color and stuff, but it literally
mhm.
is, like, his company logo
And
is
we've done that in the past too, obviously, where we've given people a gift, but we also, I'm pretty sure, like, when we've done like
both.
gifts for the team, whatever, we've done a combination. We've given them swag and stuff like that too. But yeah, I'm the same way. I think like if that's the only thing you get, then that's a different thing. You want to stuff the bonus check in something that's good.
Right.
It's
Well, okay, I
how
should
we
say
got these initially,
he
but
got
like
note cards that also had the logo on it, which we didn't understand. I'm like, "Do you write a lot of thank you cards in your position?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "Are we
so.
supposed to be writing thank you cards with your logo on it?"
So it
Like,
sounds like they had a night. They had a overstock of marketing materials, and
mhm, and
because
now they're
like I
in the
also could
warehouse.
argue, I'm just shooting in the dark. I don't know if this is accurate, but I'm guessing that insurance company makes more money, more profit than we do, so
100%.
it probably could have gotten them something different, but chose not to. I
Could've.
can go, again, because what if I'm literally like, oh my god, like I my coffee gets cold every time I'm on my way to work. Now I have something
Yeah,
from my way to
maybe,
work.
maybe. Yeah.
On the
I
other
would love
hand,
to
you
hear
go,
your
well, that's good.
thoughts.
I not only do I already have really great ones, this one isn't as good as, but also like, are you just using me as a marketing billboard? Yeah, I can see both ways.
Wow, you really, like, went both sides of this. I would love to hear your comments in the chat. Drop
I
where
can
your
go both
thoughts
sides.
are.
However, I think from a company standpoint, like you should be thinking, well, no, like if we can, we shouldn't just do something with our logo on it. Like it should be something different than that. Like it's something, unless it's like something like really like exclusive, and you're like, well, we want you to have this too. Like no one else can get this except for you.
Yes,
And
yes.
you don't, but like in my opinion, you don't treat that as a bonus. You treat that as like just a special, like, hey, just like we just decided we want to give you all this. It's not in place of. It's
Right,
just a part of, which is different
right.
than, hey, instead of those Christmas bonuses, here's a mug. I don't
See,
know.
that's I guess I'm like, okay, the
So
money
it depends
I
on. There's a lot of
understand.
context that.
Right, I understand the whole, like, you have advertisement, like, whatever, I get that, but to me, I'm like, isn't it a lot less work? Like, when we've done gifts and stuff for our team and we've, like, wanted to make them personalized, like, it's a lot of work to like get addresses, mail stuff, send stuff, like to
Hmm.
do all that versus like here is a gift card in your
A gift
inbox.
card or some money or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a lot easier. Although, I mean, it's not. One year
it's
we did like very customized. Like it wasn't like the same thing there, but it was very customized to each
yes,
individual based on things
yeah,
that we knew that they liked or were our best guess. Other times we did pack everything up, like, and send it to each individual, which is a lot of work, but, like, we've done for a while now, we've done typically when we do bonuses or, gifts for holiday stuff, it's typically, like, if we can give some cash or a gift card or something.
right, right. Hmm.
It's easier,
Oh,
but also, like, I think most people, like, prefer it. To your point, to your original
I
point, I
agree.
think the majority of people would prefer the money over that. I was just taking the other side, so.
I appreciate you. I appreciate that you went to both sides to advocate
Now,
for
I
them.
also, like, used to be in insurance, so I know, like, literally insurance companies that have more branded stuff laying around than anything else in the world.
Oh yeah,
Like,
because they need it. Absolutely.
yeah, well, and they go to like brokers and they give
Right.
like literally hundreds of thousands of dollars away all the time. I have a awesome, which is probably like $100 and some dollar, like Pacific Life golf pullover that I got for being an agent 15 years ago.
See? And you
And like
still
I
appreciate it.
wasn't one of three people that got it. I was one of probably a million.
Right.
Like, so as I'm a worker with insurance, I'm going, really, guys? Like the thing that I just gave to three customers, that's I get hooked up because I already kept three anyway. Like I already stole this. I don't need you to give it to me.
Maybe that's
Not
the
that I
point.
think Matt would steal,
He did not steal it. I saw the package that came in. He did not
but I
steal
do
it.
have proof, and it's been
Oh,
sent to authorities. We
there
are
you go.
way off
We are way
rails at this
off
point.
task. So let's okay, we're gonna kind of keep this conversation, but it's gonna be way more relevant. Let's get
You
into
have
our team
no
talk.
control over what's going on right now.
I'm gonna get control back. Stay
Poorly
tuned.
managed.
Good morning and welcome back to Teach Better Today. I'm Katie Miglin and I am here with the wonderful and burnt orange handsome Jeff Gargas. If you've missed the first 11 minutes of this segment,
Good for
consider
you.
yourself lucky. But today we are going to get into actual some real conversation, and I promise you, us talking about company mugs and cash gifts and all this stuff is super appreciative or is super relevant to what we're getting into because we're going to talk about. The word appreciative makes sense. We had a listener question, Jeff. Are you ready for a listener question that
Yeah,
relates
I'm
to all
interested
the
to see
things?
how this actually ties in. Did you really have control the whole time and I
I
just didn't
did.
realize it?
I did. Here's a
Interesting.
listener question. What are some ways that you can show teachers they are appreciated?
Ooh. Ooh.
See? All comes full circle. So, Jeff, I thought this was really interesting because we get this question, I feel like, pretty often, especially on Tuesday mornings. We discuss this during our admin
Yeah.
mastermind. If you're
Hmm.
not a part of that group and you are an educational leader, strongly recommend sign up, be a part of it, even if you have to like listen and not join the conversation. If that time slot doesn't work for you, there's so much good stuff happening on Tuesday mornings. We strongly recommend. Jeff, thanks for dropping the link in the screen if you can't see it. Teachbetter.com/mastermind. But in that conversation, so often we hear leaders say, I want to do something for the teachers, something for my staff, but I don't
Hmm.
have any money or I have a really limited budget. And I think it's really interesting because we're getting into like, I don't know. I feel like second semester is like when there's lots of opportunities. Like there was Valentine's Day, there's Teacher Appreciation Week,
Hmm.
spring break. Like there's times where you can show teachers that you really appreciate the work they do, but sometimes it comes with a cost. And so I would love today to kind of just give some ideas on how people can show appreciation without breaking the bank. And you don't have to give a fancy mug with your company logo on it.
I have a couple things. The first thing that's coming to mind is respect them. Um,
Simple.
rights, and by that I mean like trust them to do their job. You can check in with them, you can verify things, but you should be trusting them to do what they are professionals at doing. You should be listening to them, like that type of stuff. However, I think you mentioned like the different times of Valentine's Day and certain other those. I think the thing that most, and this goes way beyond just teachers, but like most leaders or managers or whatever get wrong is that they only do it during times that they
That's
can or that they quote unquote should. Because when you only show that respect and that appreciation during times that you're supposed to, it doesn't feel like the same level of appreciation. It feels like, well, yeah, it's Valentine's Day, so they did something for us. It's Teacher Appreciation Week, so if they don't do anything for us, they're terrible. Like the
mhm,
goal should be that if the goal should be that your teacher feels so appreciated that when you don't do anything for Teacher Appreciation Week, they don't even care. Like that should be the key. We had this conversation with someone on our team who talked about a really I'm not even get into it. A very terrible thing, not a terrible thing, a stupid idea for how they were trying to show that their teachers were that they appreciated them, and they didn't execute it right. However, it was a dumb idea, but if they executed it better and the culture was there, it would have been received much differently. Not saying it was the
100%.
best idea still, but it been received much differently because like you can do little stupid silly things
Mhm.
and and if you don't have the culture of appreciation, they're going to come off really bad and really stupid.
Well, I
But if
think
you have the culture built in, they're seen differently. They still might not be the greatest idea, whatever, like that this particular one, but
it was bad.
like it's received very differently. And
Yes.
and I think like people are like realize most people can see through when you're doing something because you're supposed to versus because you actually want to. I used to say I have an old mentor of mine, and we used to talk, and I used to always tell him that when we talk, and he was my leader, my higher up, and we had very different relationships with the people that we manage. I was still their boss. I could still hire and fire them, but it's very different. I used to tell them, I'm like, it's because they know that I do things because I want to, not because the book says I'm supposed to.
Right.
Like, and I think that's the key to 99% of this. Like, they'll understand if you don't have the money to go do big and fancy stuff, but there's a whole lot of things you can do that have nothing to do with money,
Mhm.
that don't actually cost you money. Because I'll
Well,
tell you also, most people also know that usually when you have money to give you, it's from the school or
yeah,
from the
right,
business,
right.
right? Like, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's good. You grab that at petty cash, thanks."
Mhm.
Like like it's different when when it's built on the foundation of appreciation that's already there. So,
I will say though, Jeff, to kinda counter I mean, I do wanna get into, like, specifics, but to counter your idea that it only comes on, like, holidays, I love, like, showering appreciation to people. That's totally my jam. However, sometimes we need the holidays or the things on the calendar to simply remind us it's been a while. So, I
sure.
don't necessarily fault someone for a leader for, like, "Oh, shoot, Teacher Appreciation Week is coming up. We haven't done anything in a while. Let's make sure we've got something covered." But I do think,
Mhm.
to your point, it is good to remind ourselves, like, it should happen more often and we should be doing stuff. So I was very fortunate for like 13 years of my career. I was in a building that was big part of the culture is like understanding that months were going to be harder, days of, certain weeks were harder.
Mhm.
We had an administrator who really, really like built up the culture and just even though it might have been a horrible week, like, we might come in and there might be donuts in the lounge on Friday, and it was, like, something silly, simple, but it was like, "Hey, thanks for, like, getting through this week." It was a 5-day week, we've heard that a lot, like, with all the snow days and remote learning days, like, January was a long month, so is there something you can do to say, "Hey, we're making it to the end of February. I'm gonna do something,
Yeah.
special, something little." I remember one time we had I don't even remember what had happened, but I remember there was like a leadership meeting and everyone was just came in crabby. Like it was like read the room. We were all just in a bad headspace. And our administrators were there and they were like, okay, what is something we can do? We don't have any money in our budget right now, but what's something we can do that's really small that might lift spirits? And I kind of as a joke was like, can you just walk around with a snack cart? Like just grab snack out of the concession stand, like that's already been paid for. And just everyone grabs a snack out of it, ate that. Or like I was kind of joking.
Mhm.
And sure enough, that week, someone knocked on my door, the entire administration team was standing there, and they're like, "Hey, thanks for a great job, grab something off of this cart." And it what,
Mhm.
cost 50 cents, but it, like, still to this day, I remember it still I, like, screamed, I was so excited, the kids thought it was cool. But it's like, can you do just little things or just show up to a teacher's classroom and say, I know you've been super busy for whatever reason. Go take 10 minutes to go do whatever
That's
you
oh,
have to
yeah, I was glad
do.
you went there. I was gonna say, like, just go give them a break for a second so they
Yes,
can go
right.
get their own snack too, like, right?
Yes,
Like,
exactly. Like,
and
go
it
refill coffee or
yeah.
something. But I think
I think it all comes back to them, like, it's but, like, because you started that, like, they had already built a culture where you knew that they actually did care, they did appreciate you, so then it didn't have to be anything major.
right,
You were like,
right,
"Oh, it can be as silly as just bring us some candy every now and then." It's like, well, yeah, 'cause, even a little, like, bite-sized candy, like, when I sneak in and just toss it on your desk, give you a smile, like, that's very different when you know that I give a damn.
right.
Versus when I'm like, here's candy because I gotta bring my cart
I gotta
around,
check
like,
the box.
and I can't
Absolutely.
get my paperwork because of my cart that I gotta take around because Katie had to do. Like, that to me is the biggest piece of it. Like, there's a lot of yeah, random donuts, random candy, random little things like that that don't have to be big and expensive, but if they're delivered the right way and built on the back of a culture that already has appreciation in it, they're gonna be received so much different.
And honestly, as a leader, or even if you're like, okay, I want to do something for the teachers I work with. If you're in the classroom and you want, you're a second grade teacher and you're like, I want to appreciate the other second grade teachers, take them like be intentional about what your mood is when you give it. Like nothing is
Mm.
more like annoying when you're given something and the other person's clearly in a bad mood. It's like, well, I don't want your crabby candy. Like if you can't deliver this with a smile on your face, like it just feels different.
Well,
So
and to me, that's that you're doing it for the wrong. Like, I was picturing that cart. I'm like, the difference of you open that door or they open that door and they're like, "We love you. Here's your
yeah.
cookie or whatever." Versus one of them's out in the hall like, what room are we on? We're on 330. Okay, we got like 10 more. Like,
Yes,
that's a
exactly.
it's the same thing, but it's two very different things because the one says, "Hey, we appreciate we're trying to do a little something." The other one says, "We're checking off a box right now."
Exactly.
Like,
Huge
it's two
difference.
very, very different things. That's what I'm saying. Like teacher appreciation stuff is nice,
Mhm.
but it's not the same when it's delivered of a well, it's this week that I have to appreciate you versus
Right,
hey,
right.
it's an additional week that I get to appreciate you more. I
Mhm.
don't know. Me personally, I think the biggest shift that will help leaders in this is to remember that they don't work for you, you work for them. Like, your job is to serve the people that
Mhm.
you quote unquote lead. Like, that is how you do that. And if you can flip that, it changes the whole
Mhm.
dynamic of how you do it because you actually
Right.
become appreciative
Well,
because
and
you
if you
can't do
don't
what you do without them.
if you can reframe your mindset, but also if you're listening to this and you're like, "I don't have the money. I don't have any money. I can't go get the small candy. I can't pick up the donuts," whatever it is, a note goes a long way. So
Mhm.
maybe on Mondays you send
Yes.
something a whole staff email and you acknowledge 3 teachers every Monday of something cool they did. And guess what? It can still be the teachers that you are like, "I don't have anything to appreciate about them. They're like driving me crazy." That's fine. Find something. Maybe they had a great conversation with a student. Maybe they did a cool activity or maybe interview students in their classrooms and say, "What's something awesome about this
Mhm.
teacher?" But, like, that recognition is sometimes people almost prefer that over tangible gifts. So if
Yeah.
you have no money, if you have no budget, take the time to acknowledge people in a staff meeting, an email, something. Just show people that you actually are grateful that they're there and reframe your mindset, and then I think it's a huge difference. Also, reach out to, like, your PTO, your parent group. See if there's some
Yeah.
volunteers that are willing to come
Well,
in and do stuff.
yeah, and I think to your point, like, if you're in a district, because obviously there's some districts that you're gonna be in that you don't have any funds, and there isn't a strong PTO, and the community
Right.
isn't super involved, or there is just no money in the community either. There's no way for you to get then it's solely on how can you show them through your everyday interactions of the
Yep.
way that you treat them, the respect you have. That's where, like, let me jump in your room for 5 minutes so you can
Mhm.
run down and just go chill, go breathe for 10 minutes, 15 minutes,
Mhm.
whatever you can do. Like, that is far more important than most of the paperwork that's on your desk.
100%. And can I
So
also say, like, okay, even if you're not interested in getting into classrooms, if you have the opportunity to stand in the hall and simply help manage hallway behaviors,
oh, yeah.
that's huge. I remember just seeing an administrator, like, made me feel not like it felt like it lessened the load of standing in the hallway because I knew
Yep.
if nothing else, I had another adult standing in the hall doing
Yeah.
supervision duty with me. So
Yep.
simple
I
things
think
like
about
that.
our Yeah, I think about our good friend Michael Earnshaw. If you know Michael
Yep.
Earnshaw is a principal. Like, he's never in his office. He's always on a rolling desk, and So he's out there every time the halls are emptied into and out of and stuff, and he's able to bounce around because he's doing what he needs to do at his
Yep.
mobile desk. I'm sure there's time where he has to be in his every now and then for a phone call or whatever, but like there's ways to make it happen. But I just really think even if you have the biggest budget in the world, like, well, that's not accurate. If you have the biggest budget in the world, just give them money because they will like that better than anything. But like at some point, even a bunch of extra money doesn't feel as good
Right.
when the appreciation isn't there altogether. Because let's be real, 99.9% of educators wouldn't be there. They're not there for the money.
Exactly.
Like that's not so. Like there's only so much that gonna do. But like if you have a level of appreciation there, like it's just different. It just makes
Mhm.
work better. Like so, donuts,
People like
candy,
donuts.
and appreciation. That's what we need to do.
Well, yes, but if nothing else, if you're like, just catching the end of this or you're walking into a school today, take 2 minutes. My challenge for you is to take 2 minutes to go show appreciation to someone, whether it's sending someone an email. Maybe you send your kids' teachers emails and just say, hey, thanks for all
Mm,
you're doing. Send your secretary email, send your co-teacher an email, send some message, either a post-it email or, text them and just let them know how appreciated they are. But if you're an educational leader or you're someone that's kind of wanting to do a little bit something more, be creative. Think of some ways that you can either free up some time or just drop a little treat to let them know that they are noticed, their work is valued, and try to kind of reframe your mindset. Maybe you do it all week. Maybe this week your focus is on once a day you show some appreciation. But let's start with just today. Does that sound good, Jeff?
I love it. And if anybody wants to show me appreciation, I like ribs
I just like
or
nice
wings.
notes.
I like wings.
If you want to send us an email of appreciation, I'm not gonna. That will make
Maybe
my day.
maybe a couple more burnt orange shirts so we can match on more
That's great.
days.
So we can do this
Great.
more often. I love it. All right, friends. Well,
I
thank
hope
you.
everyone watching knows that we appreciate them, though, Katie.
Yes, we do. We totally appreciate whether you're listening on our podcast or you're catching us in the morning or you're just watching us later in the day. We appreciate you. We are so grateful that you decided to join us, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, Teach Better community. Thank you so much for joining the Teach Better Today morning show every single weekday at 7 a.m. Eastern. We have so many resources for you outside of this live stream at teachbetter.com, including blogs, podcasts, and professional development that will bring our team to your school. Wherever you are listening from this morning, please make sure you are sharing and celebrating the incredible educators in this world. And hey, if you are listening over on a podcast to Teach Better Talk, we would love a 5-star review. The comments are always so entertaining. We'll see you tomorrow.